Many autistic people can describe occasions where we've been told we're blunt or rude, and it's possible we may even have been told we're too honest, if there is such a thing. So why is this? I can only speak for myself, and every single human being is different, but I'll describe how the world feels to me. And maybe this will shed some light on why I may come across this way, rather than just focusing on what it is you may find puzzling about me or about other autistic people. We need to start with the basics, and that's our sensory processing systems. Every single one of us human beings processes the world through our senses. Everything that is going on outside of our bodies is perceived through our senses of touch, taste, smell, sight and hearing. And internally, our vestibular, proprioceptive and interoceptive senses are at work. Whatever information our sense organs and bodies pick up goes to our brain to be processed. And our brain processes this sensory information and tells our body what is going on. Every single person's sensory processing system works differently, and many autistic people experience a wider range of sensory processing responses than the majority of other people do. And this means that sometimes autistic people may experience intensified sensory experiences. Perhaps the autistic person can hear someone talking in the next room, or maybe they notice someone has moved a piece of furniture slightly from its usual place. Or perhaps they're really good at picking up on the emotions of other people, or in noticing a subtle difference in taste when a favourite brand of food launches a new and improved version. On the other hand, sometimes autistic people may have very muted sensory experiences. Maybe they can't smell their own body odour, or perhaps they can stay absolutely calm in a crisis, or they can spin on a roundabout for hours on end without getting dizzy. What is important to note is that these sensory processing experiences fluctuate and they vary from individual to individual. And people may have intensified sensory processing experiences in, say, their hearing, but muted awareness of how they feel. And they could find fluorescent lighting bearable this morning, but painfully distressing this afternoon. All humans experience variety in our sensory processing. Think about how noises seem somehow louder when we're frightened, or how we might turn the volume of the radio down so we can think more clearly when we're looking for a car parking space. But for myself, like many autistic people, my sensory processing experiences are extreme and they're unpredictable and they're ever changing as well. And they have no filters whatsoever. Every single piece of sensory information that I notice registers in my brain with the same degree of importance. That's all the sensory information from outside of my body and the sensory information from inside my body too. Think about how that could feel for a moment if this was you. Think about how unpredictable the world may feel if one day everything feels calm and peaceful and organised, and then suddenly, bam, your brain is processing everything going on inside and outside of your body as if it's too loud, too bright, threatening, a danger to your very being. Or perhaps your brain needs much more sensory information to register what's going on, and you don't feel anything, or you can't get motivated and connect with the world, or notice danger or excitement or pleasure. So here you are in a world that is not predictable. So what do? Well, I bet you start making some routines. You start introducing a bit of structure and familiarity. You give yourself a bit of that much needed predictability that is so often missing from your world, because your brain processes the world differently to other people. Maybe you have to spend a lot of your time keeping yourself regulated. And by that, I mean keeping the amount of sensory information your brain needs balanced in order for you to be just right. Maybe you're needing to wear noise-cancelling headphones to block out some background noise. Or maybe you're needing to keep your body moving so you have awareness of where it is and what it's doing. Maybe you're masking or hiding how much effort you're putting into this so you don't stand out. Maybe you're stimming or acting differently to your peers and they're aware of your differences. But maybe they assume the difference is somehow fundamentally about you and not about your experience of the world being genuinely different to theirs. With a muted sense of awareness of your internal body signals, you may not intuitively get some humour or sarcasm, or the unwritten rules or games people play. Eye contact may feel overwhelming, so you avoid it. The unfiltered noise, smell and visual stimuli in the room you're in could be triggering your body to either shut down or fight or run away from the perceived threat. And perhaps someone asks you a simple question, but how do you go about answering it? You're trying to create some predictability, trying to look for patterns so you know how to respond. The subtleties and ever-shifting nuances of body language, facial expressions, hidden agendas and small talk are too much to decipher when you're already overloaded. The predictability I create uses logic and patterns. Logic does not change like sensory information does. 2 + 2 always equals 4. But people's faces do change, people's motives change, they dress differently, they act differently in different situations. They often add confusion to my already confusing world, and there are no predictable patterns to follow. So I have my own patterns. I choose to be honest. If I say that you look great in that outfit, believe me, you look great. And if I tell you that I don't mind what I have for dinner, I don't mind. It's not some complex guessing game you have to work out what it is I actually want without me saying. I use logical, literal language because I don't have hidden agendas. My agendas are out there in the open. And they're very often shared in intricate detail and explained so fully there's nothing left open to interpretation. I treat others how I like to be treated, with honesty, no game playing, no lying. I'm clear, I get to the point, eventually, but I like to show my workings out so you have some context, and that's a product of being so frequently misunderstood. Why waste time telling you in a very roundabout way that I don't like how you did something? It would hurt my feelings if you did that to me. Just tell me, and I'll tell you. Unfortunately, we may be coming at this from different angles, which is where the perceived rudeness and bluntness comes in. I mean only positive things when I tell you the truth. I wouldn't tell you I didn't like you in order to hurt you. I tell you because it's factual. We don't all like everyone. I certainly don't want people who don't like me to lie to me and tell me that they do like me. But I may be misunderstanding where you are coming from by viewing my honesty in this way. However, you are likely to be misunderstanding where I am coming from too, by reading too much into my honesty. So there we have it. We're operating with different motivations. In my next film, I'll be joined by Kate and we'll explore some more about communication between an autistic and a non-autistic person and how this may be perceived.